Welcome to Unit 7, Lessons 2 and 3. We're combining these because so many of the elements that we will be discussing in both these lessons are intertwined. First, we'll be discussing modeling fractions and then locating those fractions on number lines. So the objective of this lesson is to use fraction bars and number lines to represent fractions and to locate fractions on the number line. So just some definitions that you need to be aware of. You probably are already, we discussed this in the first lesson. A whole is having all the parts. The number line, which we discuss significantly in division, and line on which numbers are assigned to lengths, and then to locate, to find the position or place. Here is our bar that represents one whole. Now, we've taken the whole and we've divided it into 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the key phrases you will hear is that they are divided into equal parts. Must be equal to be a fraction. Here we have our whole, and it is divided into 4 parts. And one of the fraction units is highlighted or shaded, which represents 1/4 of the whole. Here we have the 4 fourths in the whole, and we have highlighted or shaded 3 of the 4, and we have 3/4 of the whole. This is a question I want you to kind of start thinking about, just so that you'll understand how a number line works. So how is a ruler like a number line? Well, if you look at our ruler here, it's divided into equal segments, and the numbers increase as they go to the right. The same is true with a number line. The numbers increase as they go to the right. They are in equal units from starting with 0, and these are in equal units starting with 0. So you're familiar with the number line, but this is a good way to remember how it is divided into equal parts. Okay, the distance between the two numbers is a whole number. So if you look at in a number line, now I've stretched this out quite a bit, but here's our 0, and here is a 1. And this area between 0 and 1, this is our whole number. When we see 0 to 1 represents the entire number on the number line. So let's look at a fraction bar for a moment. We are, as it indicates, it said shade the fraction bar to show 3/8. First, divide the fraction bar into the correct unit fractions. Now, one thing that's really important as we start taking wholes and dividing it into fractions, we need to do it equally. So you can't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then have a big, huge space and consider that a fraction. The key element here is that it is equal parts. So let me show you. Here is the whole separated into 8 equal parts, and then we have shaded 3 of those 8, representing 3/8. See how equal parts are divided. It says, now let's look at it on a number line. Here we have a number line representing 0 to 1. It says mark the number line to show 5/6. First, divide the number line into the correct unit fraction. So again, it needs to be in equal portions. Let's look at how it will look in equal portions. So if you look, we have our 0 to 1, and it is divided up into equal parts. And we have marked or identified 5/6 because we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because 6, 6 is one whole. So 5, 6 is represented here. Let's look at a fraction bar for a moment. Here is a whole that is divided into 6 parts, and we have identified 1/6. So we have highlighted one of the 6 parts of the whole. Now we could do the same. I don't have a ruler at this, but let's look at 2/3. So I'm going to try to divide this up into equal parts. Now it indicates that we are going to highlight 2/3. So let's go in, see if I can do this, not very evenly, but there I have highlighted 2 of the 3 parts. Now you will practice this. You will be dividing them. Remember, the denominator, the lower number, identifies the equal number of parts, and the top identifies what number is highlighted. So 7/8 would be 7 of the 8 parts. Now let's look at the number line. We have one demonstrated for us. Again, 0 to 1. And we have divided it into 6 equal parts. So let me just count these with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is always going to be on the 1, because that is how we represent the whole. 6 of 6 is 6 parts of the whole. So we have identified, it indicates here that we need to represent 1/6, and here's where the 1/6 would be. Now let's give it a try on the, let's do 2/3 again. And we're going to divide it up into 3 equal parts. One, let's divide it up here. And let's divide it up right here. That's, now that is 1. So this is 1, 2, and 3. So 3 of 3 is one whole. Now to identify this number, we are going to put it right here. And it will be 2/3. Here it would be 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. I hope it's starting to make a little sense to you. Now let's locate, this is an interesting one. It indicates 6, let's locate 6 halves on the number line. This can be a little confusing because our number line is here, but if you recall, the denominator identifies the number of parts that a whole is divided into, and then the numerator identifies how many parts we have. Well, this number is larger than this number, which indicates that we have more than one whole. In fact, if you look at 6 divided by 2, it appears that we have 3 wholes. So here is 1 that's divided into 2 parts. Here is 2 that's divided into 2 parts. And here is 3 that is divided into 3 parts. So our answer is not between 0 and 1, but it is greater than 1 whole. It is 3 wholes. Let's look again. Now this indicates locate the 1 on the number line. Now let's look at this first one that has the answer to it. Here we have, if we were to draw, we would put, right here, we would put the number, this would be identified as 1/3, and this here would be, if we were identifying it, would be 3 parts of 3, which is 1 whole. Can you see how to locate the 1, we would simply divide and add 1 more part? I'd like you to try this on a number line on your paper. Again, here is a representation of what we just did in terms of finding the whole. So here is 1 whole, here is another whole, so we have 1 and 2, so we have 2 wholes, and if you look at how they would be divided up, we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, which is 1 whole, 5/4, which is 1 whole plus 1/4 of another whole, 6/4, which is 1 whole plus 2 parts, and 7/4, which is 3 wholes of 1 and 1 of another. Can you see how we can have a numerator that is larger than a denominator, which identifies that we have more than 1 whole? Here's another example. On a number line, we have 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, 7/3, 8/3, and 9/3, which identifies 3 whole. You can locate a number on a number line by simply comparing it with another. If you recall, the larger the denominator, the smaller the part will be. The unit fraction will be. So 1/3 will be larger than 1/4, and 1/4 will be larger than 1/5. Here we have a representation of 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3, and 1/4, and 2/4, and 3/4, and 4/4. Do you see how much larger a third is than a fourth? Because it is divided into larger or more parts. Here is an example of identifying how 1/4 is represented on a number line, comparing the different 3/4 versus 2/3. Now what you're going to be doing is you're going to be locating fractions that are less than 1, locating fractions that are greater than 1 on the number line. You will also be finding where 1 would be located. Remember, equal parts are essential when we are working on fractions. You will find the fraction that is identified. These are all things that skills that we'll be working on. To review, you will be practicing using the number line as well as using fraction bars, finding the fraction unit, and also identifying the fraction number greater than and less than 1 whole. Good luck, and we will talk about this in the morning. Thank you.